like Carlos, of having a hard time, when do I implement this? So, implement the price. Okay. So I'm doing it way too early. And then, and so like, at what point do you say there's a cost to this?
Well, let's open that up. George?
Lisa,
George
I do it on
Barbara.
every call. I don't do it right out the bat. This costs whatever. I have a conversation and build a rapport first. Let someone know I'm not here to sell them anything first. And as you start to do your survey, I think a great place to start talking about the cost, if you haven't done it sooner rather than later, then a good place for me to interject the cost is sorry. Is when we talk about the value of what we're offering, getting you access to funding. This program does have a cost. It's a cost. I look at it as an investment. I kind of ease that in. It's an investment of your, the cost. I talk about LenCred. We've been around for 14 years. And then I start talking about the price. So I don't just throw the price out there. This costs this costs that, without giving them, a little bit of building a rapport, number one, and then giving them some nuggets about how valuable BOSS is for them. Once you kind of have that conversation, don't start off, well, this program costs $3,000 to $6,000. Do you have the money? If you don't, we'll help you. No, just ease into your conversation and build a rapport. Tell them a little bit about you and LenCred, and it's an easier conversation to have with the client once you do that about the cost.
And as you do more and more deals, Lisa, you'll get kind of a feeling, you'll get an instinct on when you can do that. But let's give you some specifics. I will tell you exactly when to answer that question and when not to answer it. Okay, so this will help you in the early stages because you are new and you're doing your first ones. So may I offer that information as a suggestion? Okay, so when somebody asks, first of all, you start with the script I just gave Carlo. Okay, and when they say, well, how much is this going to cost me? You don't know, because you don't set the price. You don't set the product. The senior business strategist does. And so you say to them, how much is this going to cost? I don't know yet. I need to ask you some qualifying questions. And as we ask these questions, I'll have a better idea. So can we proceed? Right? You're not answering the question. If they persist and they say, well, no, I really need to know how much it's going to be. Well, let me ask you a question. If it was $100 bill, would you pay $20 for it? And they're going to say, well, sure. That's what I'm trying to offer you. I don't know the cost yet. Let us proceed, and I'll get some more questions, and we'll see what it looks like. Get down to the question where they asked about, the projected revenues. You get to the part where they we specifically put that in there as a closing question. Okay, so you're asking, what are the annual gross revenues in 2019? What are the projected revenues next year? What would your projected revenues be next year with proper funding? So they've already said they need $35,000, $55,000, $75,000, right? Now you get into that. What would your projected revenues be if you had funding? If they say the same number, they're an idiot. You might as well hang up now because they're not going to get anywhere, right? If they say, well, like I'm looking at one right here. They said the gross revenue is 380, but if they had money, it's 500,000. That's your opportunity to sink the hook. That's what they call it in sales. You want to sink the hook. Okay, so let me reiterate that. I want to make sure I get it correct on this form. So when I give it to the senior business strategist, it's accurate information. So what you're saying is $380,000 is what you're going to project without the capital, but you get the capital and you're going to deploy it for the proper purposes. Your sales are going to go to 500,000. So this money basically is worth about $120,000 in revenue to you. Is that correct? And they're going to say, yeah, that's about right. So just so I'm sure, an extra 120 grand for getting you this capital. Yes, that's correct. Okay, great. That's significant. So we need to pay attention here. That's significant. This is a big opportunity for you. Let me ask some more questions. You've already told them, okay, when they're asking the question, then you can always go back to them and you can say, well, what I'm understanding is as we take you through the process and we are able to move you forward and get you this capital, it's now valued at 120,000. Remember what I said about buying $100 bills for 20 bucks? You're a perfect example of that. You can move through the process when you get to that point. Once you get to that point, you can start saying, okay, well, it appears to me that based on your personal qualifications and kind of what you're looking for, we got two objectives here: capital now and putting you in a constant state of readiness. I'm going to suggest that to the senior business strategist. I'm going to suggest that this business of yours has value, and that not only is it quick money, because anybody can get you that, you can go to anybody get that, but putting you in a constant state of readiness, that's going to be a whole different objective. And I'm going to make sure that your strategies reflect that. So I would get excited if I were you, Sally, and we're going to move you in that direction. So that's one of the things I do is gather that information so I can transmit that knowledge to the senior business strategist and get you your objective and then some. Does that make sense, Lisa? So what's the objective? The objective is to defer. You only answer questions you want to answer. My dad was a master at this. My dad was an attorney. He never answered a question other than by answering it with a question. I could say, hey, Dad, why is the sky blue? He says, hey, well, Jimmy, why do you think it's blue? Really, Dad? Would you just answer the frickin' question? Come on, man. Never answer a question you don't want to answer. And that's what we say about controlling the narrative. And I know it sounds simple and it's probably more difficult in conversation than but if you're always cognizant of that particular fact and you know that you're going to control the narrative, be prepared for the objection. These are objections, basically. Be prepared for the objection and know in advance how you're going to answer it. You've heard them all before. They're typically all, if any one of these pros on here, you talk to any one of these guys that have sold dozens of biz pros, they can write a series of objections on a piece of paper and probably still have half a piece of paper to write down their favorite recipe for barbecue, right? So it's not that many. Be prepared, ask what the objections are and be ready to handle them. If they say, well, what's it going to cost? You know what that is. They're basically looking for a reason to say no before you've been able to give them the value proposition, before you've been able to, offer to them our unique selling proposition and why it's good for them. They're asking how much it is before they know the benefit. They're asking how much it is before they know the benefit. We want to make sure we transfer the benefits so they understand the value before we offer the price. So we have to control the narrative. We have to control the narrative. The truth of the matter is you don't know how much it's going to cost because you don't set the price. Does that make sense? Did that help? Good. Okay.
Part of what's helpful, I like what Barbara said about, the importance of building rapport. And in the beginning, Lisa, and this is, I think, for everybody, I know I like the narrative that says, during the intro, Mr. Jones or Mrs. Smith, thanks for your time today. I am a business finance consultant. I am a business finance specialist. What that means is I have the entire menu of all of the business finance options that are kind of available in the marketplace. So as we talk today, Mr. Jones, as we talk today, Mrs. Prospect, think about, I have all the SBA loans and I have all the factoring and I have all of the, different types of funding options. So whether you qualify for a commercial loan or whether you qualify for some business credit cards and whether you qualify for a 30-year amortization product or a 0% introductory product, whatever those are, I have that entire menu that's available to me. And so part of what I'd like to understand is what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish. And here's kind of one of those, you guys heard me say this a lot of times, is I can help you get as much money and I can help you get that money as fast as possible based on your qualifications. So before we get into questions about this, that, and the other, let's figure out what you qualify for and what you can do. So that allows you, that gives you permission, Lisa, to now move forward with an exploratory process that allows you to kind of begin to understand. They don't have to know that you're filling out something called the boss survey for the specific company. You're doing an intake, right? You're understanding and learning where they're at, because at the end of the day, sometimes you even want to say, would you agree with me that it wouldn't make any sense for us today to spend our time talking about a 20-year repayment product that you may not qualify for, or a really low interest rate product that you may not qualify for? Let's figure out what you have to qualify. What are your options, and what do you bring to these lenders that are on my, think about the diner. The diner's got like 5 and 6 and 7 pages of the menu. You can get anything at the diner, right? So I have all of those options available for you. And then you can always refer back to that if need be and say, hey, remember, we're going through this so that I can understand what your options are, and then we can provide the best solution for you based on your qualifications. And if that's helpful,
let's evaluate that real close, because what Tommy's saying is really, really important. You've got to make that point, and it's going to bring up another objection. So be prepared for this, you guys. Be prepared. They're going to say, well, you're the 5th person I've gone to. I don't qualify for anything. That's your objection. It's coming at you. How are you going to answer that? Right? Tom brings up a really good point. You got to say it, and they're going to think, wait a minute, I've already been DQ'd by 15 people. You can always say, listen, one of our specialties here is we focus on improving your qualifications. You're going to go, what? We're the only company in the industry that actually focuses on improving your qualifications. So not only are we going to, part of the putting you in a constant state of readiness is improving your qualification. Well, what do they mean by that? Allow me to get through the rest of the interview here, the survey. And as I get through the survey and I gather all my information, I'm happy to elaborate on some of those questions that you have. May we continue? Always end it with, may we continue? But anticipate the objections. What Tom is saying is right on. You have to say that based on your qualifications. And they're going to go, crap, another one. I'm going to get DQ'd here too. And say, the nice thing about that is we specialize in improving, not fixing, not repairing. Don't use those words. It's like you should never say cost. Cost never comes out of your mouth. Cost is a 4-letter word. That's sales 101. It is an investment. It is an investment. So we look to improve your qualifications. Let me tell you a little story. Remember, stories sell. Right. I had this client, can't tell you their name. I had this client, or one of my peers. That's the nice thing about the allies, right? The round table. I love the round table thing. We can tell Barbara's story when she tells about some of the people that, hey, I'm part of this mastermind group, and it's really cool because one of our allies just had a client, didn't have very good qualifications, but as they went through the process, dramatically improved their qualifications. It was so fun to watch. Maybe we can do that for you. Short little stories. You are a hope broker. That's what you do. You're offering them hope. They're coming to you because they need money. Many of the people that have come to us have been declined many, many, many times. What LenCred has done here is they put together a system that's designed to find them the capital they need based on their current qualifications, improve those qualifications if need be, and put them in a constant state of readiness. And you are a professional at pulling the information out of the individual to present to the board. That is what you do, and you are very, very good at it. Even if it's your first time, you're very, very good at it. So again, and if I know you come to the newbie training too, we can talk about this, but with you guys, what I like to do is I like to, when you get to be as good as Barbara, when you've done as many as she has, and you're a pro and you've done hundreds of these, you kind of start to get your own mojo, and you can kind of do things based on how the people are reacting, and you get an instinct about you that's really good and effective. But when you're new, I like to say, okay, at this point, at the question, what would projected revenues be next year with proper funding? Train yourself to get to that point and have a set point and do things a set way until you get the experience. Does that make sense? It's like swimming. I used to teach swimming when I was a kid. My mom was, we called her Aqua Woman. She was with the Red Cross, and she drug all of us to the pool. I was a lifeguard. She drug us all to the pool to help and give back, teach swimming lessons, right? And they were very good. The Red Cross is very good. They saved a lot of lives by teaching kids how to swim, but they had a very specific way of how to do things. Well, after you learn the American crawl and you do it a couple miles, you develop your own style. It's nothing like what you're taught originally. Everything in life is the exact same way. You need to do a standardized process as you're learning how to do something. And then you can get your mojo, put your own script together, figure out your own agenda, and take it from there.